manager situation, as Ben Jacobs says, that there is still a desire to make it work with Ange Postecoglou, but a review will take place at the end of the season. Spurs have Andoni Iraola high up on their list in case they replace Postecoglou. Marco Silva and Thomas Frank have also been discussed. Matt Law says Andoni Iraola and Marco Silva will be among the leading candidates to succeed Postecoglou if Tottenham change manager. Pressure is once again growing on Postecoglou, with Spurs 14th in the league table with just 9 games left to play. There have been reports that Bournemouth want to extend Iraola's contract, although sources close to him and his camp have indicated that he would be interested in the prospect of taking over at Tottenham.
Well, I think it's no surprise that there's these rumours, obviously, and to be fair, it's nothing new. It's nothing that we haven't heard, that Tottenham would be interested in Silva and Iraola if Postecoglou was to be sacked. The only new bit of that is that Iraola could be interested in coming to Tottenham, which is fairly interesting. It makes sense because coming from when a club like Tottenham are available and you're a Bournemouth, who, no disrespect, are a much smaller club with smaller resources, and you've got a club like Tottenham knocking on the door, sometimes you got to say yes to that kind of opportunity. You don't know when it's going to come round again, and I'm sure Iraola would be interested. And I'm sure Tottenham, look, I'm not stupid. I'm sure Tottenham are looking at contingencies at the moment if the season keeps going in the way that it is and we don't win the Europa League and whatever. I'm sure they are looking at other potential managers and because I think you got to at this point just to kind of you can't basically have no plan going into the summer. You have to kind of think about what you're going to do.
Well, you can, because we have done many times.
Well, we've criticised them for that. So I think it's the right thing to do is if you're going to have a plan, you execute it. You don't just kind of, go into the summer, doing basically what Man United did. You make a decision. And I think we'll make that decision at the end of the season, which was also the right decision in my opinion. You wait to the end of the season, you make it. No point doing it now. But I think... obviously, Iraola would be a good candidate. Silva's a decent. I'm not completely sold on either of them, but I think Iraola is very similar to Ange. Obviously, he's done a better job with Bournemouth this season, but in terms of the way he plays, is it? I don't know if it's going to be getting us where we want to be. Maybe we'll get us basically back being competitive for top 4 again potentially, and that's not a bad thing to do right now, because right now we're in. Obviously, in the bottom half of the table, that's not where we want to be. But he's also a manager who's had lots of injuries and all these different things, and this season. And obviously, we don't know if we're going to be in European football next season. Maybe if we're not, it'll be a good appointment. But is he going to do much better than Ange's 5th position without European football? That's what he did. I don't know if he's guaranteed to do better than that. And if he does have European football, it's also a bit of a risk that we don't know how he's going to manage that situation as well. So I don't know. I like him, though. I'm not going to be angry if we hire him. I'm just saying right now, I'm not convinced he's the Lord and Saviour. Marco Silva, I think he's done a great job at Fulham as well. But again, I think sometimes I find Fulham to be a bit toothless. And, they drew 0-0 at home to Hampton this season. Like, they had some of these kind of results, and he's capable of that as well. Like, I like him, but sometimes I think he's a bit of an overthinker sometimes. And there's sometimes a lack a bit of an identity, as much as he likes to chop and change, which is to his benefit a lot, but it's also can be a negative thing sometimes as well.
Yeah, but also you got to look at it like most of the clubs he's managed, he's always kind of been the underdog. Where at Tottenham, he'll be the underdog in a few games a season, but nowhere near as much as like a Fulham or a Hull or these kind of teams. So it's like a step up for him. So would he still, because I think he has to tinker a lot and with his tactics when he's managing a Fulham, would he still have to do that if he's Tottenham manager?
Well, the theory is you suggest that he would have to do it at Tottenham, because you're saying we don't provide the money to not need to do that.
Yeah, I'm talking, he would probably in the big games against the top teams, but I'm talking about when you're playing the bottom, what was it, 14 teams in the league or something.
Yeah, I like Marco Silva. Again, I'm just not convinced by him. I'm not saying he's a bad manager. I think they're both very good managers. I'm not sure that they come in and all of a sudden we're a really good team again.
I love both of these managers, to be honest, but the manager I love the most is the one that we saw in that interview in TalkSport last week. I mean, and Maurizio Pochettino. Did you see that interview?
I did.
Oh,
We didn't talk about it on the channel, actually, Poch.
We can talk about it now because he just still speaks about Spurs in such a high regard.
He said he's felt empty since he left Tottenham.
Man, just bring him home, man.
Unfinished business. He's not leaving for the World Cup, though.
But like when you're speaking like that, and the Spurs job actually coming up again, and let's say this summer the Spurs job is there, do you really think he wouldn't jump ship on the USA just because a World Cup's coming around the corner? Like, what's he realistically going to do with the USA at a World Cup?
It's a World Cup and they're hosting it. It's a massive thing. Like,
I know it's a massive thing.
That's also once in a lifetime kind of thing.
Look at the way he talks about Spurs.
Yeah, he loves Tottenham. He wants to come back, but he's made an agreement. He's managing this team into the World Cup. Like, this is a massive thing as well. Like, I don't think he's going to give that up.
I would just love to see him back. I would love to see him as our next manager, and if I could, I'd probably replace him today.
I love him as well. I do want to see him back at some point, for sure.
But the reality is that we'll probably have to wait one more year. So Mason is interim for another year, or Postecoglou, keep Postecoglou in a job just for next season and then replace him with Poch at the end of next season.
Yeah, I think we just got to wait to the end of the season to see what where the situation lands. Right now, it's looking increasingly unlikely that we want to keep Ange on. There's a lot of rumours flying around. You know, Tottenham will want at least European football, and if he can't provide it, then he'll be gone. And that kind of makes sense when it comes to Tottenham's model. You know, they need that cash flowing and all that kind of stuff. So
bring Poch home.
It's not going to be Poch.
I'd love it to be Poch.
It's just not going to be him, I don't think.
Biggest mistake that Daniel Levy ever made was sacking Pochettino.
But also, I don't think he's the only manager, you know, like it could be. Just because it's the only one that's worked.
Yeah, I know, but it's just like, just hearing him speak about Spurs, he just loves the club so much. Mm-hmm. He really does. And obviously, the job that he did at this football club, it felt like he just got it. He just got what it meant to be Spurs manager, and he's a manager that we all hold so close to our hearts. And to see him come back would just be something else. I think he's the one manager that you bring back, and straight away the good feeling is automatically there.
For sure. I think it'll be a very good feeling if he comes back. It'll be a very popular appointment, that's for sure.
Yeah. Next up, we're going to talk about Bryan Hill, as Spurs loanee has suffered a serious knee injury and is awaiting a decision on whether to undergo surgery. Unless they're a surprise, he's expected to miss the rest of the season. Let's hope that doesn't put any move in jeopardy.
Probably would, potentially. Or I guess maybe they'll want some money off, knowing them. And does Daniel Levy like giving discounts? Not usually. So, look, we know Bryan Hill doesn't have a future here. Whether it's in Girona or somewhere else, I'm sure he'll get a move. But unfortunately, that's bad news for him, because he was having a fairly decent season. But obviously, I think he started off a lot better than he's been over the last however long, few weeks. But unfortunately, it's bad news for him.
Yeah. Bleacher Report reporting that Tottenham are one of the several Premier League clubs tracking the progress of Inter Miami's Benjamin Cremaschi. I have actually seen him play a couple of times. Scored a few goals actually when I saw him play alongside Lionel Messi, because last season I was actually following Messi quite closely in Inter Miami. It's just a joy to watch Messi any time he steps foot on the pitch. I don't know if you saw him over the weekend.
Yeah, brilliant.
What a goal he scored. But Cremaschi actually, you know, he's done all right for Inter Miami. I haven't seen him too much, so let us know in the comment section below, any of you following the MLS and Inter Miami, and if you've seen him consistently. But yeah, have you ever heard of him? You ever seen him play?
I don't really watch much Inter Miami, MLS. I can't really comment.
And last but not least, the Footy Insider saying that Spurs are willing to listen to offers for Yves Bissouma this summer, as the midfielder has fallen down the pecking order under Ange Postecoglou, which is no surprise to us.
Yeah, a year left on his deal. I think makes sense to sell, you know, on his way. I wonder how much he'll go for. But, you know, maybe a similar price to what we sold Højbjerg for. Like, that was, 15 million, something like that?
Yeah, I think so. Between 15 and 20 million.
Yeah, something like that. Look, I do think there's a good player in there. I even like what he's shown at Tottenham. Like, I do think, even from based on, maybe not in the last few weeks, but based on what he's seen overall, like, I do think a lot of clubs will be interested, but it won't be any of the top clubs. But I do think he's still a good Premier League player, and I think people want him. But
I don't know if he stays in the Premier League if we sell him. I'm not sure. Maybe, but I feel like he could go to, like,
you know, he's perfect. Yeah, Marseille. Marseille. He has Marseille written all over him.
Or him and Højbjerg back in the midfield
for
together.
sure. Zerbi, they just love that kind of player.
Zerbi didn't manage him at Brighton, did he?
No. Potter, West Ham.
Yeah. Could he go to West Ham?
I mean, I think we would sell him there. Why not?
I wouldn't mind.
Yeah.
And last but not least, let's go and look at...
By the way, just quickly, Bissouma's going to go to next come and be amazing. It's so obvious.
Yeah, we say that about everyone.
It's so obvious because it's all true.
Maybe. And if he does, good luck to him. But I think his time here is done. Let's look at the international Spurs. Who's been called up?
Yeah, so Spurs just announced just now who 12 players have been called up for an international duty. I'm just looking at it now. There's you got Son for Korea, Bissouma for Mali, Bergvall for Sweden. So obviously Kulusevski definitely out of the international break, we know that. Romero for Argentina, Solanke for England, Porro for Spain. You got Brennan Johnson and Ben Davis for Wales, Bentancur for Uruguay, Sarr for Senegal, and Vicario and Udogi both been called up for Italy. So 12 of our squad have been called up for international duty over this break.
I got to say, that Tuchel squad for England is nothing short of a disgrace.
Yeah.
Like, what is that all about? I know he actually called up Gibbs White yesterday, which is, a step in the right direction, but we're in bloody 2025 and Jordan Henderson is getting called up. Like, what the hell is going on? Like, Kyle Walker, I can understand to a certain extent because he's actually starting week in, week out for a club like AC Milan. But Jordan Henderson can't even get in the Ajax team.
Yeah, and Reece James has been injured the whole season. I just don't understand it. And although I've just seen they've added Morgan Gibbs-White into the squad.
That's what I just said,
yeah. But I don't understand it. Why didn't they announce him initially?
I don't know.
And you can just add players? You don't have to replace?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see a reason why not.
I thought is there not a certain number?
You can have a certain number in the matchday squad, but I think you can call up
however you want.
Yeah.
So you just added him. What? They forget him off the list? They've just added him. They seem to have added him for no reason.
He saw him on the weekend and he was like, "Oh, I think I missed out this guy."
He's like, "Oh shit." Yeah, but yeah, fair play. Yeah, no, it's a terrible squad. I don't understand it.
Yeah. And everyone was so excited to get Tuchel in, get Southgate gone. Now everyone's saying, "Get Southgate back, Tuchel out."
Even Southgate had given up on Henderson.
I know. But yeah, that is it from us today. That is your Tottenham update. Well, thank you all for joining us today. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come